Please stand for the opening prayer and pledge.
Father in heaven, bless us as we gather today for this meeting. Guide our minds and hearts that we work for the good of our community. Teach us to be generous in our outlook, courageous in the face of difficulty, and wise in our decisions. Thy will be done. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hancock County Commission will come to order this 13th day of December 2018 at 2:30 p.m. Mr. Clerk, I'll ask you to do a roll call, please.
Mr. President, all of the commissioners are present today.
Thank you. Approval of the commission meeting minutes from November 27, 2018.
Move to approve. Discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Today we have with us Kerry Gagel. He's the Legislation Administration with the West Virginia Auditor's Office, and he is here today to do a presentation on the Open Government website presentation. Would this be?
The auditor.
We got the auditor, J.B. McCuskey, today. Sure. Do you need a few moments?
That's already hooked up. No, I don't. We're hooked up. Good deal. We're all good.
Great. Well, we have the auditor with us, J.B. McCuskey, today.
I don't know if you guys have ever met Gary, but we don't look anything alike. I'll just stand here. That'd be great. Well, thank you guys for having me. I really do appreciate it. It's good to be back in Hancock County. I don't know. Last time we were here, we were talking about animal shelters, right?
That's right.
Did we get that issue fixed up? I feel like.
That was about the unspent money.
Yeah.
Levy money. We never got any direction from the auditor's office on how to redistribute the money to the taxpayer. Attorney General's office, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Not the auditor's. The Attorney
Gotcha.
General's.
Well, I'll keep pushing on it if you need me to. Just let me know.
Thank you. We
I thought we had a
appreciate
pretty reasonable solution the last time I was up here. It was, well, filing some kind of action, if I remember correctly. But in any event, sorry.
That's all right.
Speed of government, right?
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to show you as a website that we put together today. But to start off with, let me just say a couple things. This is the 54th County Commission meeting I've been to in the last 4 months. You guys weren't intended to be last. You're W, and you're all the way at the top. So going around these county commission meetings, I've really sort of learned a lot about what happens in these meetings. It was sort of an eye-opening tour, I guess, to see. And what I've learned is that if I were to give you $1 million, everyone would know what happened to it. But if you were to give me $1 million, it would go away. Does that make sense? And so the state has an obligation, in my opinion, to make sure that the counties are keeping as much of their money as possible, because what I've seen is that money gets to where it's supposed to be going faster and more efficiently. And the best example of that I have is we were in Pocahontas County, and there was a guy who came in and he needed $550 for new struts and tires on a 2008 Chevy Malibu. And he was the Meals on Wheels guy. Pocahontas County is a very, very large county. So he was delivering food to seniors in Pocahontas County, and he needed $500 to do that. And they sat there and they met and they found the money and they gave it to him. He was overjoyed. And when we got back to the office, it was the same day as the impeachment hearings. And what we found out that day is that there was a group of state employees who had spent over $50,000 to just feed the three of them. Right? And so in the county commission meeting I was at that morning, they needed $500 to feed a couple thousand people. And at the work where I was at home, they needed $50,000 to feed 3 people. And so that's the real difference here, and that's what we are trying to do, is to make sure that we have the most minimal financial impact on you guys as possible, and that's sort of what this technology is designed to do. So this is sort of a first step in a global initiative that we're working on trying to have one singular accounting system that all of the entities that work with the auditor's office use, so that we will have a sort of a cloud-based accounting system that will have access to your information to do our audits from anywhere we want or anywhere we can, reduce travel costs, reduce time, increase efficiency, and enable all of us to be speaking from the same language. As it stands, we ask you guys to do a lot of stuff, but we don't have to be paid for it, right? How much was your audit? $35,000?
Roundabout.
Give or take, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's too much. And so we're working on the audit standard as well to reduce its cost and the amount of overhead, because what I found is the audits that we do are not designed to find what I'm looking for. They're designed to find what somebody else thinks I should be looking for. And thus they're too long and too cumbersome and they're not really tailored for what my job's supposed to be. And so we're working on that as well. And this technology is a first step. So it's called WV Checkbook. I'll just link it in here. I like this purple computer. Is this mine? Do I get to take it with me?
I don't think
for a
so.
half hour.
Work out a price of this.
You think? Okay. I know a guy who's got all the state money. All right, so this is Checkbook. And so what this is it's a real-time accounting of all of the state's revenue and spending.
No.
Did it come up? There we go. Behind you. Sorry. And so I'll start with the revenue side. Sorry. And so what this will show you is on the first, when you click through revenue, it's going to show you by revenue source how much money the state brings in. Hopefully it'll load up here in a second. You guys got slow internet here?
It's not bad.
Man, there's a lot of places in the state where you almost can't even get it.
Yeah, it's not too bad here.
It's actually kind of terrifying. Here we go. I know. We're all working on it. So we'll just go to view report. So the first thing that you'll see is that, interestingly enough, we bring in a lot more special revenue than general or even federal revenue. I don't know if you all know what special revenue is, but special revenue in state words is essentially when we ask you to pay for your audit, that comes into the state as special revenue. And when people talk about needing to reduce the size of government and to find the waste, it's really in that piece of pie. That's the only place where the legislature doesn't really have a whole lot of purview over what the money's spent on. And so special revenue is sort of a third rail of government when you're talking about finances. But in this instance, let's go into general revenue. And so we can see by tax type how much money the people of West Virginia are contributing to our state. And so you can see that we are very, very personal income and consumer sales tax heavy. You guys are probably very gaming tax heavy here, if I had to guess, right? You probably receive a pretty large portion of your income through the gaming industry. And so when constituents come to you and say, I want this project done or I need to do this, it's very dependent on whether or not you guys had a good year in that arena, right? I mean, sometimes you get more and sometimes you get less. It's, sometimes you beat the spread and sometimes you don't, right? And so what this gives you and what this gives the state is the ability for us to communicate with our constituents in a way that everyone knows is right and is truthful. And so if somebody comes in and says, I need you to pave this sidewalk, or you pick the project and you just don't have the money that year, you can show them exactly why you do or don't have money that year to do those projects. Instead of them leaving and just saying, those guys don't like me, or, there was some random reason why they didn't want to do it, you can show them exactly why, which I think is an important tool for anybody who has to deal with constituents. But, so in this particular instance, I'm going to show you the consumer sales tax because I think this is interesting. So we had a budget deficit 4 years ago, I'm sure you guys remember, and the legislature spent all this time trying to figure out, why our economy was doing so poorly and what we were going to do to fill that budget hole. What we didn't see was that our consumer sales tax in West Virginia was outpacing inflation and has grown by $120 million in the last 5 years. That is the strongest indicator of economic growth that there is. And so what's sort of scary about that is I was in the legislature when that was happening. We were basing our decisions on information that was either wrong or old. And that is not the ideal way to be making decisions. And you all as county commissioners, all of them, are dealing with very, very large budgets that have incredibly important impacts on the constituents that you have. And what this tool gives you on the county level is the ability to make decisions in real time with real information, instead of waiting until the end of the year to see what happened the year before. It enables you to be proactive and to solve problems hopefully before they happen, because you'll be able to see what's happening in real time, which I think is really, really important. At the end of the day, we were trying to fix potentially a problem that didn't exist. The reason we didn't have any money in the state bank accounts is because the severance tax dropped off for $400 million in a year, right? And that is important in West Virginia, but is that an indicator of economic strength? Probably not, because it's so dependent on one industry. And this is a much better potentially view, and it's just one little snippet of the things that you can show. Has anybody sat through the governor's revenue call before? I'm glad. It's very boring. But what happens on that call is that the governor's office, if the revenues are down, they try to explain why they're down, and if they're up, they try to explain why they made them go up. And that's politics, right? But what this website gives you is the ability to see that information with no filter. And if you have a small business or a family in West Virginia, you can start to make your own decisions about how our economy's going with the actual information in your own eyes, which I think is important. The spending side's a little bit more fun. So I'm sure all of you have been to the mall in Charleston. Name a store you wouldn't want somebody buying a Christmas present at with their state P card. shout them out. Doesn't matter. Spencer Gifts. Okay, no one's ever said that one before. You win an award for being a wholesome community. Most people say Victoria's Secret. Let's try Spencer Gifts. And so the way that the spending side works is we have 700 million rows of data in the site, and it's updated in real time. And so what this gives you is, let's get these tips. This shows you every vendor that the state does business. Oh my gosh, we actually did spend money at Spencer Gifts. I've actually never had one that wasn't on there. I will tell you that at least 40 people have said Victoria's Secret. And I'll show you that one in a second because it's also funny. But so no one's ever said Spencer Gifts before, and there's actually one on here. So that's really interesting. So you can tell that in 2015, Fairmont State University spent roughly $75 at Spencer Gifts. Lord only knows what they were buying there. That's actually not good.
From a federal grant.
Yeah, you might want to go check that out. So then you click on it and you go to view check details. And remember, we just combed through 700 million rows of data in 2 clicks from a purple laptop.
Wow.
Found the $75 we spent at Spencer Gifts 5 years ago. That's the amount of power that this thing has. And so you pull this thing up, and it shows you. And we used a check image as the template here, because everyone knows what a check is supposed to look like. I'm surely this was an electronic transaction. But so you have the agency, the check date, the check number, the vendor, the amount, and then down here is all of the accounting information that comes through our state's accounting system. And so when you go to questions about this payment, what pops up is a dialog box, and you can send off a question that says, what'd you buy at Spencer Gifts and why? And that goes with the accounting information to the CFO at Fairmont State and to our office, and we have to answer it just like a FOIA. And what we found is our office answers, and there's people from the media here and regular citizens too, we answer lots of FOIAs because we spend all the state's money. So every question that somebody has about what an expenditure is, we end up answering a FOIA. And what a FOIA ends up amounting to us is 5 minutes of research and 2 hours of paperwork. And so what this website does is hopefully when people are actually looking for information, and there are people who use the FOIA system to abuse the government. It's that this isn't going to stop them or help them. Those people exist. But the people who really just want the information, it gives it to them in real time and without having to go through all the rigmarole of the paperwork. So this has reduced our workload FOIA-wise exponentially. And we believe it will do the same thing on the counties as well. And let me go back out. That was sort of a cheeky example. There is a Victoria's Secret transaction in here too. The Supreme Court spent $100 at Victoria's Secret last year. So when you type that one in, people actually laugh harder than Spencer Gifts. But let's type in, so we've got the Roads to Prosperity program going right now, right? So we're spending, I'm having a hard time getting this thing to work. We're spending all kinds of money on paving, right? So let's type in paving. We'll see what comes up. So this is going to bring up every line item expense that the state has that has the word paving in it. And right now it's a lot. So let's go to last year. And what you'll see is there's a whole lot of West Virginia paving line items, right? They do a lot of work in West Virginia. There's a reason why they're on there. But when you scroll down through here, you'll find some other companies that got paving jobs, like AAA Paving. So AAA Paving is on here, and so they can now see how much West Virginia Paving got paid to do a job, right? So if they wanted that job, what are they going to do next time when they bid?
Back through the charts.
Right, and then do
exactly.
what?
Underbid.
Correct. So what does that do to the cost of all the goods that the state buys?
Bring it down.
Should drop it.
The most important concept of macroeconomics is that information finds the price. You can't find what the price is supposed to be of the things you're buying if you don't know what other people are paying for it. And so what this website does is it opens up the marketplace to all of the people who may want to do business with the state or any governmental entity that's on here so they can see what's being paid for the things that they sell and find the price that should be purchased, right? So it has the natural and immediate effect of lowering the cost of all the goods that are being bid on in the state. And the same thing goes with counties. And so one of the main reasons I want all the counties on this is that we'll be able to put together a website where Ohio County can go look at Hancock County, and Hancock County can look at Wood County, and Wood County can look at Kanawha County, and Kanawha County can look at, you name the county, because we all buy the same stuff. There's some things that are universally purchased, printer toner, paper, tires for cars, you name it. And that way we'll all be able to find what the best price is for the goods that all of our governments have to buy And unfortunately, in West Virginia, the government's the big dog in town. If you have a business in West Virginia, you probably have to do some business with the state. So we spend the most money and we have the most employees. Just sort of the way it works. So this website has that effect. On top of that, what it really is showing is that we are in the 21st century in West Virginia, right? We all want new businesses to move here. And unfortunately, and you guys are a border county, you probably see this maybe even more than I do. People in other states see West Virginia occasionally like it was in 1965. And it's not 1965 here anymore. It's 2018 in West Virginia just like it is anywhere else. And technologies like this show that we are committed to showing the people who might want to move here that we're going to do the right thing with your tax dollars. This is what we're spending it on. You don't have to worry about coming to West Virginia and the good old boy network and all of the things that were prevalent in the 40s and 50s here. And on top of that, this website was rated as the #1 transparency website in the United States. And we were ranked as the most transparent state in America, which I think is really cool. To be #1 at anything, that's not bad. In West Virginia is a big deal. And what we did is we purchased 55 licenses to this website. And so what we wanted was all the counties to have the ability to be on board, regardless of their ability to pay for it. I don't know how the budget is in Hancock County. I know that there are several counties who've already paid for their websites. And there's a lot of counties who are on board who've been able to pay for their own. But the idea being is this is a shared concept that works best when we're all doing it together. And we want to make sure that there's no cost if there's a problem, and we want to make sure that if you can help us pay for it, that you can sort of share the wealth with some of the other counties that aren't doing so well. And I can tell you, having been to all of them but one, there's some places that are doing great, and there's some places that aren't doing very well. And so, we have a state that's much bigger in actuality than it is in real life, if that makes sense to you. So the difference between Calhoun County and Hancock County is only about 120 miles, but the difference in the economy and the industry and the people couldn't be more different. And so we have to, start uniting ourselves in ways like this. So that's what we're working on. And I really do appreciate y'all's time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions y'all have.
Will this be set up for cities the same way? Or you're
That's
not
the
there
next-
yet?
It will be. So we wanted to get the counties on board first, school board second, cities third. So we audit 731 entities a year, and the hope is that every agency or every government that is under the purview of the auditor's office would have access to this technology. And what this really is a first step to that global accounting system that I spoke about. The hope being that we could provide it to you. It would be such a benefit to us that you no longer have to pay for your accounting systems anymore, and we would all be working from the exact same platforms. And we could actually build something that's designed to spit your CAFR out, do your financial reports. There's all these things you have to pay for that we impose on you, but we don't help you do or pay for. And I sort of feel like if we're going to make you do it, we should help you do it and give you the tools to do it properly.
How many counties are there so far in West Virginia that are on it?
Berkeley and Mon, their sites are up, and there's 13 sites finished that are going to be launched, I think, before the end of the year. And then at the end of the year, I think we have 30 more who've already signed up to have their sites built. And so the hope is we'll have 55 by the end of the year next year, and we'll start on the school boards, which are, quite frankly, equally, if not more important, because we have $2 billion of our general revenue money goes out to the county school boards. It's half of our money.
So do you have an average cost of what it is?
Yeah,
based
so it's
upon per county?
$3,000 in the first year, and that includes the purchasing of the URL and the building of the website and the building of the report and all the training, and then it's $1,700 in the years after that. It was the reason it cost that is because we were able to negotiate a really good price when we bought the big state site. And like I said, if we ever get to the place where $3,000 is something that we turn our nose up at, we're all in the wrong place. But I think it's a very reasonable price for what's being delivered. And I've worked with this company a lot, and they're really, really good. It's a bunch of really young people who really care about government, and they do right by us, and I'm confident they'll continue to do so.
Has there been any problems with the other counties switching over to that?
No, and it's not really a switchover, and I was actually really nervous about this. The beginning to end of the build on the site is between 6 and 8 hours, and then it's about 15 minutes twice a month to upload the information. Our site automatically updates itself because we have a $150 million accounting system. Counties don't have that. So what will happen is the clerk's office will work with OpenGov, and they'll build the report, which basically self-creates itself. You download it onto a thumb drive, and then you upload it onto the site as frequently as is available, and that takes about 10 or 15 minutes. And then our office and OpenGov is always available for website support because, we found occasionally things don't upload right. And sometimes the numbers are wrong, and there's things you got to fix. Nothing's perfect. But our people built this one, and they really know what they're doing, and they're always here to help you all in the first place. The other thing is this will be yours. So we won't have any control over it. We won't be able to tell you, or we wouldn't even want to tell you what to put on there, where to put it, how to make it look. It's your website. There's things on here that you wouldn't find. If you wanted to know how much Bob Smith down the road was getting in SNAP benefits, you wouldn't find that on here. You can find how much we spend on SNAP benefits, but you can't find anybody's personal information. You can't find, there are a lot of things that come through my office that we spend that aren't on here in the way that it comes through my office. Because it's not fair and it shouldn't be public. And you guys will get to make the same decisions about the kinds of information that should be on the site, because it's yours. And we have a lot of trust in our county
How many
commissioners.
employees would be able to upload the information?
Really just one. I mean, you could have as many as you wanted, but
That's where the problems start to come.
there's only 2 people in my office who really know how to do that. There's people who know generally what to do, but Kirk and Luann are the only 2 people that I have entrusted with that ability. The clerk is the person who should be doing this. It's the clerk's information in many ways. The clerk is the financial officer for the county, and so she would be, or he would be, the person who uploads the information. That's the way it's worked in a lot of the other places. But you can set up however you want. Like I said, I mean, this is going to be a big collaborative effort. And the more counties that are doing it, I think the better processes we'll figure out and find. And it's been very successful for us. And then on the back end of this thing, what I was talking about before, you can build whatever reports you want. So when you show up for your county commission meetings every 2 weeks, you can have a report sitting on your desk that shows you by line item and by expense type what you've spent, how it relates to the budget you'd already set. You can see where you are for the year. You can see all of these things in real time that are basically impossible to find right now, but they can build for you so that you are always making all of your decisions with the most up-to-date and the most accurate information. And for our finance committees and the legislature, this is going to be really, really good because they're used to walking in there with a 12-month-old PowerPoint, somebody telling them why they need a bunch of money. And now they'll have the ability to ask them why they had the money they got last year, which I think is important. But that's what I got. And I can answer any questions anybody's got.
We have all your contact information.
Yes, you do.
And
And anything else y'all need, let me know. I mean, we're here to work for the county, so whatever we can do to make your work and life easier, we will do that.
Great. We'll work on a list of any questions that we might have and get in
Right.
touch with your office.
Appreciate you guys very
All
much.
right.
Everyone have
Thank
a
you.
great Christmas.
Appreciate it.
Same to you. Very good. Moving on, correspondence from Lieutenant Jay Keeter, Hancock County Sheriff's Office, recommending new deputy weapons for Hancock County Humane Officer.
Sheriff, I got a question for you. Do you know, do they use the same caliber as the deputies, or
That's the whole purpose. If you remember, we recently went through and purchased new weapons for the entire department.
right,
They're not part of my,
right under your reign?
they're not under me.
department?
They're under you. So when they train, they train with us. We do the training. We supply them ammunition out of our training, but it'd be so much better if they were, if they had the same
Caliber.
guns that we have, so that they could train and be updated.
That's the question I was wanting to find out, because I hear they were talking about a 9mm. Do the guys do 40s, 45s,
We
or
do
9?
45. I don't know what they're talking about.
They're talking
I
9.
didn't see that.
Yeah, it was a 9mm. That's why I was wondering, just because the being able to use the same ammunition, things like that, it would be better to do that.
Now, of course, the ammunition, when I say we supply the ammunition for the training, we do. And we supply for other calibers other than the 45 that we use, depending on who the officer is, what the officer is actually carrying. For instance, we have bailiffs who are carrying their own weapons, and usually most all of them came from the the training that they had from their previous department.
Right.
So consequently, we will supply that ammunition for them.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yes.
Now, they may have made a decision with the caliber that they're looking at, or type of weaponry that they're looking at, because of the duty that they have compared to the duty that we
Right.
have.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's why I was wondering what
Yeah.
the difference was for that
So-
part of it.
And that's, if that's what they've decided to do, then they've done it with a lot of good forethought.
Yeah, I was just wondering because I thought it was a different caliber than what the deputies.
it is.
Okay.
Did that help you?
Yes.
So the recommendation is to purchase 3 new 9mm handguns.
I make that motion that we do. New.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under tabled items, consideration to advertise for a representative to the Resource Conservation and Development Board on the county website. Accept the motion to bring us from the table.
Move to bring it back from the table.
So before us today, gentlemen, is the consideration to advertise for a representative to the Resource Conservation and Development Board on the county website.
Move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Also, under tabled items, consideration of approval to hire for the position of janitor/maintenance. I'll accept the motion to bring from the table.
Move to bring it from the table.
Before us, gentlemen, is the consideration of approval to hire for the position of janitor/maintenance personnel.
I would like to make a motion that we hire a maintenance man and then the additional janitor maintenance person.
Under the commission is the one considered to hire an additional.
Number 3 is
I see that down there.
Yeah.
And also,
At one
I
point-
think you would, Mr. Cowie can motion to remove
Bring it off the table,
I would
wasn't it?
suggest you vote on the motion to remove it from the table also.
Yes. No.
No, you motioned. It wasn't.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So before us today, gentlemen, consideration of approval to hire for the position of janitor / maintenance guy. We did interview, I believe, 10 individuals for this position. This position would be the one that would be able to start immediately. The other position we're looking to hire at the first part of the year, first part of 2019.
Just a list. Yes. I move that we hire Carsey Leisure to the position of janitor maintenance, effective. I'll say immediately, but I think we also, the people that we would work with, if they had to get 2 weeks notice.
You know, start date of the 15th will get us into the next pay period, so we can start them somewhere in that time.
Okay, gentlemen, the motion before us is to hire Carsey Leisure. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Davis, regarding the consideration to advertise for representative to the Resource Conservation, which was the prior issue, again, that was tabled. You might want to go back and just vote to take it from the table and then vote again, just to clean that up a little bit.
We'll go back and visit under tabled items number 1, the consideration to advertise for a representative to the Resource Conservation and Development Board on the county website. The motion was to bring from the table. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move that we advertise for a representative to the Resource Conservation and Development Board on the county website.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under new business, discussion of appropriations for the 2018 general election recount.
Okay. I'm going to speak on behalf of this. Commissioner Davis was involved in the recount. On November 21st, we held a recount that was requested by Tom Ogden. He was a candidate for county commissioner, and he was the election night winner by 8. And after the canvassing of votes, he was down by 10. And we went through all the proper procedures. We held that recount on November 21st, but since our meeting was the day after, we could not bring anything forward. Prior to that recount, Mr. Ogden was informed of all the options that he had via the recount. There were several ways that we could have done it, and he was also told about the cost that would be associated with each recount. We were able to complete that recount in one day, and Mr. Ogden was very satisfied with it. A lot of the business, we took care of that. The charge for each person working the recount was $100 per day. And we had a Republican committee person here, a Democratic committee person here, 2 people from the elections office, our technology coordinator, and the county clerk's office. And then we also had Mr. Foley, Mr. Cowley, and Mr. So at that time, the charge was going to be $100 per person working that day. Speaking with the attorney for the Secretary of State's elections office, he didn't feel that the elected officials should be included in the charge for that. So with that said, we need to assess Mr. Ogden. Total money for the recount will be $600, and he has paid $320, I believe. So we will adjust that figure, we bill him, and we will return this money to the general county funds, and we will need to pay Mr. George Ash and Ms. Christina Pierce $100 each out of that fund for their work that day.
Yes, sir.
I think he paid $300 for, as the law, well, as the canvassing board had elected, which is the maximum for the bond. I think the extra 20 was for simply for service. So in terms of the fees for the recount, I think it's the even $300, which the 20 may go through the service through Sheriff's Department, either through the circuit clerk or through the Sheriff's Department. So I think the 300 is applied to whatever his balance was. The 20, I believe, is already spent, more or less.
And then I'm glad you said it, because along with that, Mr. Davis's money that he had to put down was not needed, and you're entitled to a full refund.
The amount, except for the 20 that he had to spend on service, which was also spent for the similar service.
Because he had to go backward.
Correct.
So Mr. Davis is entitled to his $300.
Yes, because it did not have to come into play, was not utilized. Mr. Ogden utilized his full option. Mr. Davis's option did not come into play.
So I just wanted to give you an update on that. We really don't need to take any action, do we?
I think it's my understanding the canvassing board had already voted on this. I believe you were just doing this just for notice on this level, on this level also.
Okay. I'll accept the motion to make it a matter of record.
Move.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration to appoint 2 individuals to the Health Board.
I move for the first appointment that we would put in Sandy Haspel for the position that will be open till June 30th of 2020. She is in Butler District and also a Democrat.
Is there a motion for a second individual for the Health Department? This was for 2 individuals.
Yes, do we want to do them individually though first or both?
We can do that. The motion is to appoint Sandy Haspel as one of the 2 individuals for the Health Board with the term expiring 6/30/2020. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll accept a motion to appoint a second individual to the Health Board.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Laura Nicole Glass to the vacancy that expires in 2019. Laura's no party affiliation, and she represents the Grant District.
Okay, the motion before us now is to appoint Laura Nicole Glass to the Health Board with the term to the period term ending 6/30/2019. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Also under consideration is to hire the additional janitor/maintenance person.
Before we go into that, I would like to thank all the ones that came in for their interviews, for their applications for the Hancock County Health Board. We had several some very good applicants and taking their time to come in to talk and meet with us. Move to hire the additional janitor maintenance person. I'd like to put up the name of, get to the right page here, Mr. Brian Dillon for that position.
Okay, the motion is to hire Brian Dillon as the janitor and maintenance person. Any further discussion?
When we interviewed 10 people, we found out that there's some, how that worked was really weird. The first time we put it up, we had 2 people, which only one could really do the job. And then the second time, we've had these candidates that come in that are beyond qualified in some of the areas that we needed. And the more we thought about it, felt that an extra maintenance guy would do our county some great assets. We picked up the 911 center, we picked up the animal shelter, picked up the magistrate's court, and our maintenance guys go days and don't get their jobs done. So with that said, we picked a pretty well qualified guy that can do electrical, plumbing, grass cutting even. We had problems with grass cutting at some of our properties. And this guy, this fellow will be a good asset to our town.
Any further discussion?
Just, again, I'd like to thank the applicants that came in. We had some very good applicants to choose from, and I think we got some good people. Looking forward to working with them.
Good. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Dog Warden, consideration of approval of the October 2018 Animal Shelter Report and October 2018 Animal Shelter Expenditures.
Move to accept the animal shelter report and the expense account.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the Office of Technology and Communications, consideration of approval to advertise for the position of Administrative Assistant for the OEM.
Move to approve.
Discussion? Just like to mention, gentlemen, for the sake of the public, this is the replacement for Sharon Yulbright, who's been with the county for many years. She retired, and we're looking to fill her position. Any further comments, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of approval of Betty Wade's retirement from the position of full-time dispatcher for the 911 Center effective December 31st, 2018, and payment of her accrued vacation days.
Move to approve.
Discussion?
Again, let's thank both Sharon and Betty for their service and time, and agree with them. Hope they do well in the future.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of probates and estates.
They have been reviewed and are recommended for approval.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of exoneration orders.
Yes, sir. I believe you have 4.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of general county bills?
Yes, sir, we're going to need to do this in 3 steps. First of all, November expenditures for all funds, $809,877.93. General county is $168,775.44. P-card payments for all funds, $20,352.98.
Move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I have an additional expenditure. It's a reimbursement for Commissioner Barnaby for $47.96.
Move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I have a reimbursement for Commissioner Cowie for $121.97.
I'll move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of animal shelter levy fund bills and requisitions.
They are okay to pay.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of library levy fund bills and requisitions.
All 3 libraries submitted, and they are okay to pay.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of sheltered workshop levy and fund bills. Workshop levy funds and bills and requisitions.
They're okay to pay.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have a couple citizens wishing to present to the commission today. Roy Palmetier. Roy?
Good afternoon, gentlemen of the Commission. On behalf of the Hancock Oxcom team, I would like to wish each of you Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
A little bit of an update for your Hancock Oxcom team since last I was here. We have filed for and received our status as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And with that, we are starting to seek grant funds from various sources. These funds will be utilized not only to improve our operations, but also to better serve you, the citizens of the county, in emergency and auxiliary communications. Additionally, since last I was here, the American Radio Relay League has finalized its scores for Field Day 2019. And the results are kind of interesting. There were a total of 2,902 teams or stations participated in Field Day 2018 between 2 p.m. local time on June 23rd and 2 p.m. local time on June 24th. Of the 2,902 teams participating, the Hancock Oxcom team placed overall between all stations, all categories throughout the entire country in 405th place, or in the top 14% nationwide. To break that down a little bit differently, we operated what is known as a 5A station. We had 5 radios operating for the entire 24-hour period, and we were on non-commercial power. Either solar or generators is what were used to power our radios at our position at Clark Field. Nationwide, there were 77 stations participating in this specific category. We placed 33rd. Now, it doesn't seem like it's at the top of the list, but for the 24-hour period, we had a total of 10 operators during that period that operated the radio. The next closest team, as far as number of operators, had 15. Overall in West Virginia, there were 24 stations statewide that participated in the event. Your Hancock Oxcom team placed 5th. Of the 4 teams finishing in front of us, none of them had less than 17 operators. Now, the more operators you have, that means the more often you can rotate operators, keep them fresh, because believe it or not, sitting on a radio talking to as many people as we talked to over that period does get tiring. not physically but mentally, because you're listening for the faintest signals that we can find. There were 5 teams participating 5A in West Virginia. Wood County Emergency Communications had 40 operators. Monongahela Wireless Association had 42 operators over that 24-hour period. Again, your Hancock Oxcom team only had 10. But yet we scored 500 plus points more than the number 2 team, Monongahela, finishing first in West Virginia 5A. We just like to give you the update and thank you again for the support that the Commission and the citizens of Hancock County have shown to your Hancock Oxcom team. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Next, Rudy Rosnick.
Good afternoon. My name is Rudy Rosnick. I'm just a citizen here in Hancock County. I recently received a FOIA documenting animal shelter operational expenses and animal deaths for the third quarter of this year. The county took 6 weeks to provide the information. I want to update you on something. Last year, a circuit court judge from Putnam County ruled that records requested by the West Virginia FOIA Request Act must be delivered to a requester within 5 business days. The judge also ruled that the charge to produce a black and white document copy is 5 cents. That's in the ruling. Again, it took Hancock County 6 weeks to produce my FOIA documents, and I was charged 25 cents per page. Recently, I was told that on November 2nd, a lawsuit was filed in our local circuit court, which includes FOIA violation charges similar to the Putnam County complaints. Hopefully the lawsuit will resolve FOIA complaints within Hancock County. The information that I'd also like to share with you about the animal shelter. For the third quarter of 2018, county records show animal shelter expenses totaled over $160,000. The $160,000 is backed up by documents showing that $135,000 was spent from the general county fund and $24,500 from the animal shelter excess levy account. At this spending rate, the commission will spend over $640,000 at the animal shelter in fiscal year 2019. When you look at fiscal year 2017, you spent, $160,000 more than what you were spending there before. 2018 fiscal year, you were $300,000. I know that Mr. Davis, during his, recent, re-election, challenged that number, but it's backed up by your county records. Now we're saying the forecast is going up to $360,000. That's not a trend I think you should be proud of. If you look at the $640,000 that's forecasted, if you remove $100,000 for dog warden expenses, $100,000 in excess levy money, and the $78,000 you are offering a nonprofit to run the shelter, this ends up showing that in this current fiscal year, you will spend over $360,000 more taxpayer dollars operating that animal shelter than if you had just allowed a nonprofit to continue to operate the shelter for the county. This shows the taxpayers continue to pay for a bad decision made by the commission. Also, the FOIA contained bills that were redacted. What kind of expense at an animal shelter would be sensitive enough to fall under a FOIA redaction guidelines? I thought the commission promised transparency at the shelter. Your county documents state that through September of this year, the first 9 months, 1,280 animals entered the shelter. 127 of these animals died after entering the shelter. This is a 10% death rate for 2018. 67 of these deaths occurred in the third quarter alone. The third quarter death rate, then would be 13.5%. Does the commission remember promising to equal or exceed the nonprofit's 5% death rate? Are you even aware that the practice of destroying animals at the animal shelter as a cost-saving program continues? The Commission should be aware that State Law 19-20-6 mandates animals taken to a county shelter be held at the shelter for a 5-day period to allow time for a possible owner to retrieve their pet. Also, State Law 19-20B-2 mandates that any animal taken to an animal shelter must be spayed and neutered before being allowed to leave that shelter. Based on these state mandates, is the Commission aware that in the third quarter of 2018, your county records show 5 animals transferred to animal care and welfare the same day they entered the shelter, 2 animals transferred to Bridge to Home Animal Rescue within 1 day of entering the shelter, 3 animals transferred to Jefferson County within 4 days of entering the shelter, 1 animal transferred to Beaver County PetSmart Cat Rescue within 3 days of entering the shelter, 3 animals transferred to Petland in Pittsburgh within 3 days of entering the shelter. That's 14 animals that left in less than the 5-day state mandate. Additionally, these 14 animals, and 9 of them were listed as strays. Yeah, the others must have been turned in. But it's highly unlikely that those 14s were all spayed and neutered. I bring this to your attention for one reason only. Your animal shelter records they show it is being run in violation of state law. Is it the Commission aware of these activities? If not, the Commission needs to exercise its oversight responsibility and investigate these apparent state code violations. Finally, and this was kind of brought up earlier by Mr. Davis when the audit department asked, I was looking for an update, but I said it's been close to 2 years since the Attorney General issued a legal opinion recommending that you return the accumulated over $300,000 in animal shelter excess levy money to the county taxpayers. After 20 months, I was going to ask the question, do you at least have a plan on how to return the money? Mr. Davis's comment earlier in this meeting was he's waiting for direction from the Attorney General. At a Meet the Candidate, event less than a year ago, I brought this issue to Patrick Morrissey's attention. Mr. Morrissey stated, with 6 other people standing beside me, my wife was one of them, that he owes no information to Hancock County. He recommended to Hancock County that, if they didn't know how to return it, to talk to the auditor's office. That's what Patrick Morrissey states. Morrissey at this point does not believe he owes any information to Hancock County, and he stated, I have no CPAs, and it's up to Hancock County on how they return the money to their taxpayers. It was just his legal opinion to return it. I thank you for your time. I'd also like to try to have the 2 questions, the one resolved, around what are you going to do with the excess money, the $300,000? And additionally, about the transfers, I'd like to have a written response to those questions. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Davis, regarding anything that was redacted out of bills, if there's humane cases taken to where the county has to seize animals that are in peril and they're taken to the shelter, many, if not all of those cases result in sometimes criminal prosecution. So because there may be sensitive information there in regards to those types of matters, there could be information that is redacted based on that. So that would explain some of that. Sometimes it's better to ask questions than jump to conspiracies. Secondly, I was present with you in a meeting some time ago. I think it was May of 2016 with Attorney General Patrick Morrissey. Mr. Morrissey said to you and I, along in the presence of his assistant, that he would personally refer that matter that you just had mentioned about resolving that issue to his staff, and that someone, potentially more than one person, because it was a complicated issue, would be getting back in touch with Hancock County and would assist Hancock County, or at least try to point us in the right direction. So if Mr. Morrissey said, as Mr. Rosnick has said, he's got inconsistent statements on his issue and he needs to check his memory, because I was present there. We have been waiting on that information. To date, we have not received anything.
And also, some of the commissioners, as well as myself, I know I've been to the Attorney General's office 6, 8, 10 times. over the last 2 years, personally there, asking to speak with Mr. Morrissey. I've been able to talk to staff members maybe half of those times and ask for some guidance, and I've never received any sort of correspondence back other than, we'll get back to you. So maybe we ought to look at a different direction of handling these funds. If maybe reach out to Mr. Morrissey or send him some notification on the intent of how we are going to proceed with handling these funds.
Well, as it's clear, he's not going to follow up on his promise, so yes, we should probably.
Okay, very good. Thank you. For the good of the order, Mr. Scola.
Just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Mr. Vitus?
At this point in time, I'd just like to say Merry Christmas to everyone.
Tracy, anything from the 911 Center?
Just that with Betty retiring and dropping to part-time, we are still going to need part-time people. So if there are people that are interested in the part-time dispatcher's position, please apply to the commission office. We do have 2 full-time positions that will be available, and we do probably hire from our part-time pool to fill those full-time positions. So please, if you are interested, somebody please come in and reply. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thanks again, Tracy. Moving on, Carol, anything from the Extension Office today?
We will be hosting 2 sites of Energy Express next year. One will be at Weirton Elementary again, and the other will return to Irvine High School. So we'll be looking to hire those folks in the beginning of the new year. Sue Eisner got started working with us right away in mid-November, and she's already working very, very well with everyone and learning a lot about Energy Express. Other than that, very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, because I'm taking a week off in between. So we'll see you in the new year.
Thank you. Sheriff?
Nothing from the Sheriff's Office other than Merry Christmas, and please all have a safe holiday.
Thank you.
Same from the clerk's office. Merry Christmas, and everyone have a happy New Year. Safe New Year.
Thank you, George. Commissioner Cowie?
Same thing, just would like to send blessings out for the holiday and be safe and have a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Commissioner Barnaby?
Yeah, congratulations to Sharon Albright and Betty Wade on their retirement. Had a very nice little gathering for them the other day and a great send-off. As usual, we can't talk to the people that need to be talked to, but just to reiterate something, Mr. Morrissey, his release was an opinion only. It wasn't etched in law. And nobody said we were going to keep the money. However, I would like to look into that situation as for us to just begin to spend that money.
Yeah, I think that gets
Anybody that does accounting realizes we would be in. There would be no money left just to pay the wages for someone to decide how to return that money. And that's why Mr. Morrissey's office backed down rather quickly. We threw out a few facts, and it was like, well, we didn't know all that.
It should be pointed out, we actually requested this. The county commission actually requested that opinion. That was not some directive from the Attorney General's office. That was actually a legal opinion that that the county sought from him. I've heard it called an order, directive, whatever. It's not. It is an opinion. You're correct to say that, and I think it's fraudulent for when people try to claim it's otherwise. They should do their homework. So, but in any event, yeah, it's merely a legal opinion that we sought to try to do the right thing with that. It's been twisted numerous times, and it just gets ridiculous after a while that people can't be more honest in what they present.
And with that said, I'd like to wish everyone a very happy, blessed, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Joe. Just to update on the upcoming operational days here at the courthouse. The courthouse will be closed on December 24th and 5th, and also on New Year's Eve, December 31st. The governor has put out a proclamation requesting those days, the government to be closed. Our next commission meeting will be on December 27th at 2:30 p.m. I'd also like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. If there's no further business to come before the commission today, I'll accept the motion. We adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.